That's a good title, right?
That was a pretty good title.
$1 million to one. Come
as
on.
far as your titles are concerned, Derek, that was one of the better ones.
It's not a Taylor Swift lyric, I promise you that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Of course, welcome to the PHNX D-backs podcast. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This guy over here is Thunderstick Jesse Friedman, occasionally known as the vice mayor of PHNX. And we are here to bring you the finest D-backs coverage in all the Valley. Of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook, America's #1 rated sportsbook app. Jesse, that was a fun home run derby.
It was a fun
I had
home
a blast
run
watching it. What do you think?
I thought it was a little anticlimactic that Juan Soto won, honestly.
The Empire won, essentially. The bad guys won. It's like Empire Strikes Back. Which
I mean,
I'm sure you don't get that reference.
What of course not, Derek. What baffled me is that Julio Rodriguez, I believe his salary for this season is $700,000.
Basically close to the league minimum, which
essentially
is
the league minimum,
$563 and change. Or no, actually it went up. I forgot. Yeah, because this year,
now it's
like
700,000. It is literally the league minimum. I mean, this is his rookie season, so he hasn't received any raises beyond that yet. So his annual salary for this season is $700,000. Do you know how much money he would have made, Derek, if he would have won the home run derby?
$1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million.
He would have more than doubled his salary
if
he had won this home run derby. And the man who just turned down a $440 million contract offer snatched away poor Julio Rodriguez's $1 million.
Just snatched it right away, just like taking his happiness away. By the way, Juan Soto does make $17 million.
Yeah.
So at least he's not one of those guys that makes like $50 million a year, right? But
he's
pretty
soon
close
to
to
be
that.
there,
Soon to be
probably,
there.
But not yet.
I was hoping that when he hugged Julio Rodriguez there at the end, that he whispered in his ear, "I'm going to give you the money." That's what I wished that would have happened. I know that's probably not what happened. And honestly, that Derby champ chain that Bad Bunny awarded him apparently came from Bad Bunny, I think, and that thing alone has got to be worth a cool $1 million because Bad Bunny's got money like that. Excuse me. I gotta say that right. Bad Bunny. That's how my family members will never forgive me if I don't say it right. But speaking of Julio Rodriguez, what a night for him, right? Like, I mean, this to me was kind of like his hello world kind of introduction, and it was really what I kind of wanted for Christian Walker. That's what I kind of wanted for him to be in the home run derby for, just to have that moment of, some national recognition and maybe because like you said in a wonderfully well-worded tweet, Christian Walker would have wiped the floor with some of these guys. And that's
some of
true.
These fools was,
some of
was
these
the
fools
exact wording.
was the exact phrasing. I like that. But what do you think about J-Rod and his night?
Yeah, I mean, Julio Rodriguez is one of the most he's one of the most marketable players, I think. One of the most marketable young players that baseball has. Yesterday, I thought it was interesting. There were people out there covering some of the pre-home run derby festivities, and people said that Julio Rodriguez was just mobbed with reporters pretty much the entire time, which is funny because, I mean, he plays for the Seattle Mariners. He doesn't play for, the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox or one of the big market teams. But he's just so cool. Like, you can't help watch Julio Rodriguez play baseball and not just be like that guy could be the face of this game.
Yeah, and not just that, but I think that some people are good interviews, and based on what we saw out of him, because I haven't seen him do an interview yesterday, he gave a great interview, and I think that we tend to see some canned answers from players all year long, but this weekend All-Star break is where we kind of want to see the more normal human side of them, right? And get some of those answers just about how they love baseball and how excited they are to be there, right? So many of these guys are there for their first time and experiencing this entire, thing through, new eyes. And Julio Rodriguez's interviews were refreshing. Watching him hit the crap out of the ball in the home run derby was refreshing. And he also ended reigning champion Pete Alonso's reign of terror over the home run derby. And the polar bear took it hard, to say the least.
He did.
He was caught up in his feelings, and he took to Instagram with this little. I actually asked Jesse if he was joking, if this was facetious. He wrote on Instagram, "This morning it hit me that I'm no longer the home run derby champion. If I can be honest with all of you, my fans, it's like a part of me is gone. a piece of my soul ripped and torn. Staring in the mirror, I see a man who lost his smile. I'm going to need some time off to think things through, and I hope you'll respect my privacy.
That's really something.
It's a bit much, right? I mean, you won 2 home run derbies, something that most players never even win one of. I think, you've kind of had the admiration of everybody in baseball, and, no one's taking what you've done away, but that seems a little rough. I guess
all right. So breaking news, Derek. You ready for this?
Is it fake?
It's fake.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was fake. Jesse, you got me with that.
I'm just gonna, yeah, I totally got you. Yeah, that was tweeted out by New York Porch Sports, which sure enough is a satire page. Yeah. But I think they're just kind of making fun of
how he was yesterday. Yeah, right?
He was visibly, you could just tell that this was, and he was trying to, he was going to give the proceeds to his charity that he and his wife have been working on. So. You could tell that he really, really wanted to win this, but
the reason why this is so believable is he put a lot of pressure on himself, and you could hear it yesterday during the All-Star game or during the home run derby. You could see it with his preparation, right? Other people were kind of out there enjoying the atmosphere, talking to fellow players,
lifting weights
in the back room, and just sitting in a chair, like kind of zoned in. He gave a hilarious answer when I think after his first round, when they asked him, like, you really seem in the zone, how are you feeling right now? And he said, in the zone. And he was.
I want to give props to, I wish I remembered her name. Do you remember the name of the ESPN reporter who was on the ground yesterday?
She was trying way too hard, but I get where she was going. Like, she was trying to do everything she could to get these guys to open up.
She really was, which I appreciated. Right. Like, Buster Olney will go down there and he'll do an interview, and it's just kind of like, he's asking good questions, but the answers are all kind of surface level.
It's hard,
but this woman, she would not let the players get off easy, which I thought was phenomenal.
Absolutely not. And I think that with baseball players, you come to, the longer you're around them, like I have been around this team now for 11 years, Jesse, 11 years. And I just come to expect them to be a certain way. Like I expect a certain answer. But going back to what we were saying earlier, that's the reason why, like during the All-Star break, you kind of hope that they come out of their shell a bit more. They don't give you both teams played hard kind of answer.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you're playing in the home run derby. Like, it's a home run derby.
Right.
You have to have fun with it. Yeah. This is not the time to be like, we left everything we had out on the field. I was just trying to get a good pitch to hit.
Yeah, I was just doing my best. I was just trying to hit the ball hard. That's all I was out there trying to do. No, I want WWE level of smack talking between these guys, right? I want them to cut promos on each other. I want them to come out and be like, let me tell you something, brother. I heard Albert Pujols what he was saying, that kind of thing. I need that. And I love the format of it. So the format of it definitely lends to that with the head-to-head matchup, right? The head-to-head matchup portion of it is so fun. I mean, I've been watching the home run derby now for a long time, and I feel like the head-to-head format is by far the best. And then we got to see a big upset in the first round. Obviously, the machine, Big Albert Pujols had himself a day. Great to see him not only get honored, but to get out of the first round against Kyle Schwarber, who was mid at best as a number 1 overall seed. But
I was so close, Derek, to tweeting out something sarcastic about like, oh, surely this will be close. Like Kyle Schwarber against Albert Pujols.
And it was.
And it absolutely was. And you could tell Kyle Schwarber was just like beside himself. He was like, how on earth am I losing to this 42-year-old man? Yeah. But then he's like doing the whole salute thing after the round was over, which was pretty cool to see.
For sure. And I think the difference there is the guys that did well were having a fun time, right? Yeah. Going back to J-Rod was having a fun time. He
had like 32, I think, his first round, and then 30 his second round. Those are big numbers.
He hit over 80 home runs in the home run derby.
It's crazy,
right? And so that's incredible in itself. One of his home runs. This is how close he was to potentially winning this derby. One of his home runs was 1 foot away from being 440 feet, which would have given him the additional 30-second bonus. And who knows? He kind of caught fire late in his round, and when he had his extra time, so maybe he could have gotten to a point where he won this thing. I have to question the accuracy of the measurements. I have to. I can't help it. How do you know it went 439 feet? I just have to I can't help but wonder that. But Juan Soto, again, is your home run derby champion, stealing $1 million from J-Rod, of course. That's how we're putting it. But Juan Soto, obviously, the most compelling story approaching MLB's trade deadline, because now we are finding out that he is on the trade block, and we have some rumors about him getting moved places that we do not want to see him get moved to.
Yeah, the San Diego Padres, Derek, have been reported as the favorites for Juan Soto, which is so like, what happened to the San Diego Padres, man? Like a few years ago, they were the kind of team that wasn't really in on any of the big names, right?
Prior to what, 2 seasons ago?
Something like that. And then all of a sudden, it's Manny Machado, it's giving Fernando Tatis, whatever it was, an absurd amount of money for a guy who's hardly played in the majors, which I can't blame them for. I mean, it was probably a good decision on their part. But the Padres are a different team, a different franchise than they were a few years ago. I want to say they have a new ownership group that probably explains that. But I mean, it's wild, and it's unfortunate for Diamondbacks fans looking at a division where not only do you have the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course, going out and being willing to spend just about however much money it takes to get whomever, but the San Diego Padres. And of course, you're probably not trying to trade for Juan Soto unless you have at least some interest in extending him and keeping him in your organization beyond that. I guess it could just be more of a rental sort of a deal, but the Padres they are a formidable franchise, and their willingness to spend big time money on a guy like him is only scarier and scarier for a fan base for the Diamondbacks. It's pretty crazy.
Here's what I think, and here's how I see it. This is kind of what happens when you have to put up with a team like the Dodgers being in your division, and you have to do something kind of dramatic in order to shift the power within the division a bunch.
Right.
At this point, the Padres have defined kind of who their core is and who they're going to build around. They know that.
Yeah.
They also know who they're willing to part with if it means getting a player of Juan Soto's caliber, and they're willing to part with probably a lot, right? But a lot of it is going to be prospects and building towards the future and things like that the Nationals are going to be interested in versus like trading Machado to the Nationals or something ridiculous like that, right? But who knows? Who knows what it's going to take, and who knows how bad it's going to be within the division for Juan Soto to be a Padre. We hope that's not the case. I would much rather see him go to, I saw a rumor about maybe the Seattle Mariners, and I kind of love that idea because I really love what the Seattle Mariners are doing this season.
Yeah.
They're a fun team, and I think it would be exciting to see them make the playoffs. And man, if they're a young, exciting team. If they could add a guy like Juan Soto, who's very young, very much the future of baseball, that could completely change the AL West and the Seattle Mariners trajectory for the foreseeable future. So
yeah, could be. Do you know how long it's been since the Mariners have been to the playoffs?
No.
As a former Seattleite myself, I have to know the answer to this question. 2001. It was the year the Diamondbacks won the World Series. That was the last time the Mariners were even in the postseason, and they've been close. Like year after year after year. It's not for a lack of trying. Jerry DiPoto has made like 4,000 trades over the last 5 years or so to try to get them there, but they've never gotten over the hump. Not in more than 20 years now. It's crazy.
That drought is old enough to drink, and that brings me to
it is. Wow. Well, beers, good transition, Derek.
Years.
Well done.
Of course, 21 years and older. Drink responsibly over at Four Peaks Brewing Company, but definitely try out their variety of beers that they have to offer. Also, check out their location. The 8th Street Pub is incredible food, incredible beer, incredible atmosphere. I love craft breweries, but I love them more when they're an actual like production facility. There's a couple of places in LA I used to go to, and I just kind of loved the idea of like being at a place that, a nationwide produced beer is also there, but I'm in their like little tap room, right?
Yeah.
Four Peaks has that. That's where they make the beer at. So go check it out, take a tour, enjoy yourself, get some merch. Most importantly, help out the local teachers because Four Peaks Brewing Company is donating a portion of their proceeds to getting supplies for local teachers. So have yourself a beer and know that a portion is going to a good cause. They have a wonderful variety of beers. If you can't make it out to the Four Peaks Brewing Company location, make sure to grab a 12-pack near you, wherever you're at. Convenience store, supermarket, it doesn't matter. Four Peaks, as they say, has been in the mix since '96 here in the Valley, and it's my favorite beer. Should be yours too.
We'll be there, won't we? We'll be there live.
We will be there next Wednesday.
Wednesday,
yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
My final show before I go off to Disneyland. That's where I'm headed after that, the most magical place. But my magic place is Four Peaks Brewing Company over on 8th Street in Tempe, and that's where we will be, all of us. So join us that day. PHNX going live. We also have our Toast of the Month sweepstakes. Get down on that. 4 Peaks $50 gift card, a PHNX shirt of your choice, as well as that PHNX annual membership. And you don't need to win that sweepstakes in order to get yourself an annual membership. Get yourself an annual membership and you will get one of those t-shirts for free. So it's almost like you won, right? That's pretty close to winning. Whatever you want over at the PHNXLocker.com. If you become an annual member, if you're interested in becoming a month-to-month member, we will hook you up with your first month for just 50 cents. Regardless of your membership status, you will get members-only discounts over at the PHNXLocker.com, as well as members-only access to our Discord. That has been an absolute blast to be in. It's always a joy. It's my favorite place to hang out. I don't really have many places on social media I go besides Twitter, and Discord is it. But you guys can join us there and help us discuss this team and what we're going to do. We also need some ideas for t-shirts. I think we need some new t-shirts.
Well, someone in the Discord, I'm forgetting who it was, said earlier today that we already need a Hispanic Titanic t-shirt for Ivan Melendez. So we'll have to get on that.
We got to get that. That is a must. But also, of course, if you guys haven't done so already, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, we appreciate you guys being there. Make sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever we go live or any of the other shows go live. If you're listening to us right now on your favorite audio podcasting app, subscribe to us there if you haven't done so already, and leave us a 5-star review. Jesse, good news. There was worry that Druw Jones wasn't going to end up signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks, as ridiculous as that sounds.
Was there?
No.
Why?
There wasn't.
Who was worried?
Some people. You know why? Because it's the Arizona Diamondbacks. But luckily, that concern is no longer, as he has officially signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So now we don't have to worry about that being a thing anymore. Of course, giving an 18-year-old kid over $8 million is it's a pretty significant way to get them to sign on the dotted line, I would say.
Yeah, he got the slot, so I think it was like 8.19 million, something around there, which is what was expected to happen. If a guy gets taken second overall and is offered the slot, I mean, there's really no way that any player is going to reject that. The only way you would possibly reject that is if Druw Jones thought that it was like a lock that he would be the first overall pick if he went to college and came back next year. But, you could get hurt. Like, there are so many things that it's probably more likely that you'll move up further down in the draft than that you'll move up that one final spot. So there was really no chance Druw Jones ever wasn't going to sign here. But it's good to see it happen so quickly. Jordan Lawler last year did not happen that quickly. I think it took 2 or 3 weeks after the draft happened. He was a trickier situation just because he was also committed to college and he was taken lower in the draft than he was expecting to be taken. The Diamondbacks got him at 6th overall. He fell there, but a lot of people had him ranked as the number 1 overall prospect in the draft. So that was a trickier situation, but this one, not so tricky. Druw Jones at number 2. He was going to take that slot every day that ends in Y, and it's good to see that happen so quickly in the process.
We actually have a little bit more clarity on what the Texas Rangers were doing as well with taking Kumar Rocker, right? Like, they ended up taking Brock Porter, who in the 4th round, who was a 1st-round projection.
It's crazy that he dropped that low.
It's crazy, but they said that part of the reason why was because of his bonus demands and the concern with him not signing. With the money that they saved by taking Kumar Rocker with the 3rd pick, they end up having that additional slot bonus to be able to pay someone like Brock Porter. So that actually ends up looking a little bit clearer for the Texas Rangers, even though they did sacrifice a pretty high draft pick for someone who most people thought wasn't going to go anywhere close to the top 10.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think Brock Porter was ranked around 15th, something like that on most draft boards. And ironically, Kumar Rocker was ranked lower than that by most people.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, he in some drafts, he wasn't expected to go until round 2 or the competitive balance round.
Yeah.
In other drafts, he was a bit higher, obviously, right? I think he went as high as 15th or 16th. Some people had him connected to going to the Padres, which sure would have been another absolute nightmare for us to deal with. But, it is one thing that, of course, it seemed like they have a pretty good plan now when you look back at everything they were doing. That's kind of what we thought we might have seen out of the Baltimore Orioles, but they went with a much higher draft pick in Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, Jackson Holiday, I think is pretty much going to be a slot pick, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that suggests that the Orioles didn't pick Jackson Holliday because they wanted to save money. They picked him because they thought he was a better player, I guess. I mean, they had him higher on their board than they had Druw Jones, which is interesting because there's not a lot of scouts, not a lot of analysts out there that I've seen who felt that way. Pretty much everyone had Druw Jones at number 1.
You know, the thing about it is that they were looking for an infielder. Like everybody that they had the Orioles connected to was a shortstop or second baseman. Tamar Johnson was the one.
Or catcher,
or
maybe.
Catcher,
Kevin Parada, I saw
right.
thrown around in there a little bit.
But they definitely had I think that they got, what they wanted as far as in the draft. And I think that, they got the highest ranked infielder that they could. It's like splitting hairs at that point. Like you said, it's a matter of maybe needs for the organization, but I mean, who really knows what these guys are going to be down the road or what you're going to need down the road. So it's always going to be out there. And that's the wonderful part is I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to be the ones left with question marks in 5 years when, we're seeing these guys at the major league level.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Yeah.
But speaking of, that's the future. Let's take a look at the past because we got a little bit of spying on our exes to do today, you guys, and not necessarily in a good way. I guess I don't know how to phrase this. I feel like I'm phrasing this poorly already, but it's not that we are spying on someone doing good. We are spying on someone calling it a career. About 4 hours ago, Steven Souza tweeted out what athletes are doing now, which is like a note message on social media, but he titled the tweet, "Time to call it a career." And he says, 16 years after my name was called in 2007 by Mike Rizzo and the Washington Nationals, I have finally decided to hang up my glove in my career. It's been an incredible journey that I dreamed as a kid I would be able to go on. Without Jesus, none of this would be possible. And I'm forever grateful for all that blessed me with. I want to give a special thanks to all the coaches, players who impacted not only my career, but my life. I want to give a special thanks to my wife and my family for supporting me during this amazing journey. Without your love and support, I would never have made it out of the GCL. I don't know where Jesus is leading me next, but I do know that I want to share my experiences and my love for the greatest game in the world with those who strive to be what I did. Here's to the next chapter. And here's to you, Steven Souza, because again, it was a short time with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but definitely a guy that had his career probably cut short, unfortunately, due to some injuries, limiting him a bit, but somebody who had some flashes of being pretty great at times in his career.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad when you look at his journey, honestly. I mean, he was a pretty good player in 2017 with the Tampa Bay Rays. We're looking at 239 batting average, 30 home runs, 78 RBIs. He was a pretty good outfielder. He stole 16 bases. And that's when the Diamondbacks made a pretty significant trade to acquire Steven Souza. They traded Anthony Banda, who was one of their top pitching prospects at the time. They traded Brandon Drury. All-star snub, Brandon Drury.
Don't bring him up.
More spying on our exes. There you go. But yeah, and then he came over to Arizona, and he just wasn't the same guy. In 2018, Steven Souza hit 220 for the Diamondbacks. He slugged 369. He had 5 home runs. He only played in 72 games. He suffered a pretty significant injury in an exhibition game right before the season started. It was a gut-wrenching time to be a Diamondbacks fan right before the season started see that.
I was at that game. It was
really,
it was devastating.
It's happened a couple of times. I think AJ Pollock had a big injury in one of those exhibition games. They gotta stop playing those exhibition games at Chase Field. It doesn't tend to end well.
Oh man, yeah. Right. Those last couple of games right before the season get rough.
But yeah, I mean, it's just sort of sad to see. I mean, really, ever since that injury, ever since his recovery, trying to work his way back from that, he was just never really a big league quality player again. He kind of bounced around. The Cubs took a chance on him. The Dodgers took a chance on him. This year it was the Mariners. But altogether, I mean, he played a total of 34 games after he left the Diamondbacks over the last 3 years. So it's just been a rough go for him. And, he still had some really good playing days early in his career with Tampa Bay. So, but it's sad to see an injury just, leave a player so different from what they were before, and leave them in a spot where they just can't get back to the player that they were. So, sad to see Steven Souza's career end, but he's a cool guy. I interviewed Steven Souza actually a few years ago. I talked to him on the phone for like 15 or 20 minutes, and he's a really neat, very down to earth, fun to talk to sort of a person. So, So yeah, it'll be baseball will miss Steven Souza for sure.
For sure. And by the way, make sure to try out our friends at OG's Gummies. If you haven't had a chance to try them out already, you can get them at your local dispensary near you. If you are looking for where to purchase them, you can check them out at ogsbrands.com or on Instagram at ogsbrands. And of course, OG's is all about flavoring life. They have the best flavored edibles in the entire valley. They're also the #1 selling edible in the entire valley. So make sure to try them out. Like I said, not only do they have a variety of flavors that are delicious and they actually make edibles that taste good, but they also offer a wide range of doses as well as strains for you to choose from. Sativas, indicas, 3 milligram, 10 milligram and up, depending if you're a medical patient. Go get that up. Go get that extra part. But anyway, make sure to try out OG's Brands. And if you have a chance, check out their pool party over at the Maya Day Club. I believe that's on July 30th. It's a blast, and it's something that I definitely can't do more than once every 6 months. But of course, like I said yesterday, I'm a facade. I am a shell of my former self, and my mouth does much more talking than my body wants to back up when it comes to partying at places like the Maya Day Club. But you guys can do that too. And again, make sure to check them out at ogsbrands.com or online at ogsbrands. Must be 21 years or older to purchase. Oh, Jesse, we got the All-Star game tonight.
We do.
What are you looking forward to seeing tonight? Wait, let me ask you this. Do you like the All-Star game?
No.
I mean, is it something? Well, okay. Like,
what kind of a question is that?
I'm not a huge fan of the All-Star game at times because I feel like the Home Run Derby is, in my opinion, it's the best event in all of
it is.
All-Star weekends for any sport. I love the Home Run Derby. And I'm not saying that they should put the Home Run Derby last, but I am saying that, it's kind of like the Home Run Derby is the peak for me, and then we have the All-Star game the next day. However, MLB found a way to rectify that because, again, if the All-Star game tonight ends in a tie after 9 innings, they are actually holding a home run derby to determine the winner. And again, this is the best possible way to determine this. I think it should be implemented all across baseball.
It really should. I mean, I do think that the new way that extra innings are done makes extra innings a little bit more exciting, maybe. A little bit, not much.
People in baseball are so on board with it. And the reason why is because they are as sick of baseball games not having a determinable ending as we are, right? Like they don't want these games.
I mean, it was literally the players who wanted this. It wasn't the owners, it wasn't the executives, it was the players who wanted this in place because they don't want to play 6-hour baseball games
want it
anymore.
In place. I wanted it in place. I have been at Chase Field sometimes until almost 1 o'clock in the morning, Jesse. And that's just like watching the game, not to mention the post, game stuff that we had to do, right?
Right.
I was there. I didn't get home until like 2 one night of a 15, 16 inning game. It was ridiculous, right? I don't want any more of that ever. But I think that this idea really is like someone said, like maybe let them play 1 inning. Maybe do
1 inning and
maybe
then
do a 10th and then
why would you even try in that 1 inning though? It's like screw it, let's just do a home run derby. Let's just get to the good stuff here.
But anyway, what are you thinking about seeing tonight? What are you excited besides possibly it ending in a tie?
I mean, that is 100% what everyone is rooting
that's
for.
all we want to
see.
We just want chaos. That's what
we want. We absolutely want chaos. I have to say I'm pretty disappointed that Brian Snitker decided to name Clayton Kershaw the starting pitcher for the National League.
Really?
Just because
it's in LA.
It's in LA.
How many more All-Star games does Clayton Kershaw have?
Yeah, I get it, but he just didn't deserve it. Sandy Alcantara, far and away. I mean, he's the Cy Young favorite right now, probably by a pretty significant margin. And so I just think it kind of sucks for him to be in a spot where he did everything that he possibly could have, and he's not getting that honor.
Well, that's why we're in favor of Joe Mantiply being part of the National League team, right? It's not to say that Joe Mantiply is the most exciting choice on the team.
Don't say that, Derek.
I know, but I'm saying, you get what I'm saying, right? Like a lot of people, it's not going to be, the Ketel Martes or, like Josh Rojas or some of these guys that probably would be a little bit more charismatic, a little bit more exciting to see out there in the All-Star game. But Joe Mantiply was the right selection based on merit, right? He was the one that, based on his performance in the first half, truly deserved this honor.
Sure.
And I think that's what it's about sometimes, is getting it right and not having the commemorative thing for someone that like has been around for a long time, like we saw with Albert Pujols, right?
Yeah.
But admittedly, as much as I didn't want Pujols in the home run derby, it got fun. And him getting out of the first round was fun. And I didn't hate that.
Clayton Kershaw's not retiring though, at least not as far as we know.
You're right. You're right.
And so it just feels a little bit different to me. If it was like his last All-Star game, then I'd be like, sure, we can, it's in LA, it's a perfect fit. But I mean, I just don't think you can. I just don't think you can do that just because it's in their home ballpark. I think that's just not really a great reason at the end of the day. But I mean, yeah, the All-Star game is always fun, and I think we're all rooting for a tie. We're rooting to see Joe Mantiply, face a couple batters. Hopefully, I think that'd be fun for us to see. But
in the American League, they got it right. They got a guy. A lot of people don't know in Shane McClanahan starting for the American League.
He's had an extraordinary
by far, he's
season.
had an amazing season for the Rays, and a guy that again deserves it and isn't a household name. But that's the point of this. That's the point of All-Star games. That's the part of promotion and Nike and Gatorade commercials and shit. The point is so that you know who these guys are, especially for smaller market teams, and you know what they've done. They get a platform like this for them to come out, not only show off in a game like this, but for people to see the kind of first season that he had, because he's had an incredible first half. So
yeah.
And here's the other thing: Shohei Ohtani made the declaration that he doesn't want to hit, or he doesn't want to pitch in this game, and I love that he said that, and I'm glad that he did. Because why? Why should he? Right? Like, we know he's incredible. We don't need to see him pitch anymore. We all just want to see him hit dingers. That's what we want to see out of him.
I think it would have been pretty cool, honestly, if he did both. Because Shohei Ohtani is, he's pretty iconic in this game at this point.
At one point, just DHing and pitching at the same time.
I think there's a way to finagle the roster so that he could do both in one game. And I just think that would be so cool, because everyone, at this point, the word is out that Shohei Ohtani does both and is, essentially the modern day Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, like, the word is out on that for sure.
Unlike any player we've ever seen. And I just think it would be cool for, in the All-Star game, in the Midsummer Classic, this spectacle that the country really does have their eyes on. I think this is one day where baseball really does kind of control the sports landscape. Like, there's not a lot of other things happening right now in sports, relatively speaking, relative to other times of the year. And so this is baseball spotlight moment. And what more do you want in baseball spotlight moment than Shohei Ohtani pitching and hitting in the same baseball game? I think that would be incredible. But sadly, I don't think we're going to see that today.
Probably not. Another interesting factor is on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, Jesse.
Ooh.
The National League is a favorite in this game.
Shocking.
Wait, no, excuse me. Well, yeah, the National League is a favorite to win by or to not lose by 1.5, right? So American League right now, technically the run line is 1.5 for the American League, but that's a plus 170, minus 200 for the National League. So it's close. It's right there. It's saying it's going to be a one-run ball game or less potentially, or the National League is most likely going to win, especially being a home.
So the National League, they're the favorites?
It's the run line is for the American League to win by a 1.5, but the National League has the minus 200 for plus 1.5 runs, right, for the run line.
Okay.
So basically they're going to lose by a run or win is what it's saying here.
That seems a little crazy to me, because the National League. Okay, so you're saying the American League is then the favorite? It's just weird.
It's the favorite, but it has a better value. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to tell, but it's basically that it has a better value. But yeah, they are. American League is a minus 1.5 favorite on the run line.
The National League hasn't won since 2012, which is like how? Like, the National League is not worse than the American League. At least I don't think so. I guess this year it's a little different.
Yeah.
They both have the DH power in them, right? Both the National League and the American League are now sort of on the same page in that regard. So I don't know if that changes anything, but it is weird that the American League has dominated this game over the last decade. I don't really know how to explain that.
It really is, right? Because you would just think that it's really not that important of a game, but then it was for a period of time, right? Because it determined home field advantage.
Which was absolutely ridiculous.
That's
by the way.
crazy. Like, we're going to look back on that and think that is one of the most insane things baseball ever did.
Yeah. But we're also very glad that they had that rule in place in 2001 because that's why the Diamondbacks had home field advantage. So when it works in our favor, we're okay with it. But now get that out of my sight because it is atrocious. It is not the way that it should be done.
It helped us, but fuck it after this. Get rid of it. I don't want it anymore.
Right.
And speaking of the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make sure to go sign up. If you're a new customer, you can use our code of PHNX, and you will get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. That's promo code PHNX only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for detail. And I don't know, Jesse, I might be taking the American League.
You might be taking the American League.
Doesn't make any sense, but I might be taking the American League. We'll see what happens. But, of course, before we go, I wanted to give a big happy birthday to a personal hero of mine, somebody who has inspired me to be sitting in this chair.
Oh, mine right too. Now, me too. Right? This is both of us.
Right, absolutely. Stuart Scott would have been 57 years old today. And I just can't say enough about how much of an inspiration he was on my life, how important and fun he made sports to me, and how even, after he passed away, he found ways to continue to teach me lessons. It's kind of wild because I've always kind of been fascinated by Stuart Scott and read a lot about him. And of course, one of my favorite stories is how he got hired to ESPN. I've talked about it quite a bit. He was covering a rodeo and he was working for local news, and he covered this rodeo so well that, they just were like, we have to have this guy. This guy has to be a part,
That's how you got hired at PHNX.
That is,
too,
I did
right?
a rodeo.
That's how we all got here, actually. We all covered rodeos, and that's how we...
I think the lesson there, right, is that, like, you never know who's paying attention to what you're doing, right? That's part of it, too. But the purpose here is, especially for us, we want to make watching this team fun. And we want to make what we do here fun. And that's what Stuart Scott did. Yeah. He made sports fun. He made anything he did fun. He went to a rodeo and he made it compelling and fun and did a great piece on being there. And he put himself all into it. And I think especially with what we're trying to do here at PHNX, there's a bit to take away from that. We just had our draft day coverage. And as most of you guys know, people don't really cover the baseball draft really well, right?
It was pretty much just us. And
hell, we didn't even cover it that well. Let's be honest. We got the first pick wrong. We had no idea what was going on. We're like Jamar Johnson, right? But I think the point is that we want to we want to be that for you guys. We want to make sure that we make this team fun, even when there's no one else to do that. We appreciate you guys being a part of this, and I appreciate Stuart Scott very much for his impact on my life.
Yeah. Stuart Scott is just he's just so good at what he does, and you're right. There was just something about his personality that just made sports moments seem even bigger than they were. Yeah. Like, he just added gravity to the situation.
He made shit cool. Like, he made sports cool. Like,
he really did.
I often say I was addicted to Sports Center when I was a kid. It was my favorite show to watch, Yeah. Unless the Suns lost, then I avoided it at all costs. But even watching a highlight when the Suns lost, Stuart Scott made it fun. And that's what it was all about. These guys, they made sports fun. And that's what's important. Sometimes with the sports, even with the betting and the wins, losses, everything, it can be a bit, I guess it's not fun anymore. It gets to a point where it can't be fun, right? So it's like, we got to embrace it. We got to set your expectations reasonably and enjoy watching the moments in the second half from this team. I think that's what we're going to get and take away from the Arizona Diamondbacks is, you can't expect them to have some radical, all of a sudden win streak or something that happens in the second half. Hopefully we see things kind of level out for them and maybe even return to some of the success that we saw earlier on in this season. But, for the most part, we're just going to see fun moments. We're going to see a lot of Alec Thomas highlights. We're going to see Merrill Kelly doing the damn thing. And it's, Christian Walker is going to continue to smash the hell out of the ball when nobody is on base. We're going to get to watch it. And that's what being a fan is all about.
Nobody's on base.
I got to add that caveat, obviously. But of course, we thank you guys for watching us and tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys again so much for tuning in. We appreciate your time. On behalf of Jesse and myself, We always thank you guys for being here in the comments and watching the show. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're cooler than the other side of the pillow.